Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Career Chat. I'm Shannon Crooks, a librarian 3 at the Hillcrest Heights branch of the Prince George's County Memorial Library System. Each and every Wednesday at 3 o'clock, we explore a new and exciting career, and we talk to people in the community about their career journey, ask them a few questions, and get some insight into their career. We hope you enjoyed this episode today. We have Vershawn, Mr. Vershawn with us. He is a musician, and he's going to tell us a little bit about his career. So Vershawn, tell us about being a musician. What type of musician are you, and what are some of the duties you have as a musician?
All right, thanks again once for having me. I am a pianist, so I would play a lot of R&B, different genres, hip hop, playing church, all types of things that will require somebody who plays the piano to play weddings, all types of things. I believe you said, what are some of the duties that I have? Typically, being a pianist is kind of hard because a lot of times you have to run the show if somebody does not remember the notes or the direction, everything you have to go in. It's typically the keyboard player who is responsible for that, or meeting up with the singers, having to practice more, additional with additional time. It's actually a lot of responsibility for a pianist, especially in regards to a band, or even in church. We have to go to rehearsals and doing the 3-part harmonies with the choirs. It can be a lot. It can be a lot.
Wow. Wow. So Vershawn, how long have you been working in this particular industry?
Well, I started taking piano lessons when I was 6 years old. Um, so from when I was 6 to when I ended up going to a music high school as well.
Mhm.
So this has kind of just been like a lifelong journey. And then in high school is when I started to actually play out in places, actually start making a couple dollars from doing events and things like that, and moved on to college and after college, and I've been going strong.
Wow. Did you get your college degree in music or something different?
I have my degree in finance, so it's the total end of the spectrum. It's nothing music related whatsoever.
Wow.
Yeah,
But you're doing music now full time.
I don't do music for no. I have a job. I have a day job,
Okay.
but I do both of them competitively. I work competitively, and I do music still on a competitive level. Most things music related are usually in the evening anyway, evenings and weekends. It's not really too much that's happening during the day.
Oh, okay. So
Hmm.
you have your full-time job in finance. Uh,
Yeah,
okay.
I'm an accountant, so I do accounting during the day. I work for a tech company in Columbia, Maryland.
Oh, okay. So viewers, if you're listening, the same thing can happen for you. Maybe you're doing something creatively on the side of your, full-time job, but maybe there's a way for you to make additional income. And then if you're a young person watching, maybe there's a extracurricular activity that you're in, such as music. And like Vershawn, Mr. Vershawn has said, he did some gigs while he was in high school. So he was playing for different events and making some money. So it's a possibility that if you're trying to generate additional income, that you can look into some of those things that you do creatively and possibly make some money from it. Great point,
Yep.
Sean.
Yeah, that is definitely likely. You'll be surprised with what things can come out of just from playing the instrument, and your core network. Those things are really important.
Yeah, some people think, hey, I just do this as a hobby. They're not really thinking that they can make additional income, they can meet people that could, accelerate their career or move their career in a different direction. So that's awesome that you do that.
Yeah.
Um, so the next question is, what was your educational path from high school to where you are now? You told us a little bit.
Right. So I'm from Philadelphia. So I went to a music high school in Philadelphia, and I I auditioned to be a pianist, but I also did percussion as well. So I played in orchestras, jazz bands, concert bands. They made us all sing in the choir. So it was a really diverse school. Italians, Asians, people from different religions, different backgrounds. So I really enjoyed that opportunity. So when it was time to go to school, I know I didn't want to necessarily go for music because I already just did 4 years of it. So I said, I don't know if I really want to do that.
Mhm.
And I was looking at schools, and I ended up going to Morgan State University.
Mhm.
The reason I went to Morgan was because they had an actual finance major. Some schools will have like accounting with the concentration in finance, but I kind of just wanted a finance degree, and I wanted to go to a school who had a music program. Because I'm a pianist, they didn't have jazz studies there per se, but they
Mhm.
did have a jazz band and a jazz combo. And I guess I was confident enough that if I was to go in there and audition and play, that they would eventually let me be a part. And that's exactly what happened. So when I got to Morgan, I was in the jazz band and in the jazz combo.
Mhm. Wow. And then after, you left college, you decided to do finance and then just do music on the side, right?
Yeah, well, after college, it's life is always an interesting journey. They tell you to get a 5-year plan,
Mhm.
and there's no way that I could have even predicted the 5 years after I graduated. So I didn't get my first job until a year after I graduated, which
Oh.
I had to do music, just to stay afloat. So then I would have jobs, but it was in 2016 that I got fired from a job, and I had to do music full time,
Mhm.
and the stars aligned. I wasn't expecting it, but when things happen and it works, you'll know when you should be doing it full time or this is what's going on. It wasn't even really a choice for me. I couldn't find a job. I had to do music, but it worked. It worked out really, really, really well for me.
Mm.
And then I ended up getting the job that I have now.
Yes, that's a great point. A lot of people, are doing other things that they don't think that they could make money from. And right now during COVID, it's time to be creative. Look at some of the hobbies that, maybe you're doing. Maybe you're working part-time doing something, but you can generate more income from it. So it's great that you say that because I know a lot of college students are probably very frustrated right now because the job market is not where it was before COVID. So they could be trying to figure out, what am I going to do? I need to make money. I've got to pay my bills. So, looking towards whatever you do for fun or as a hobby as being a potential way for you to make income is very important. So if you're out there, you're looking for a job, you don't know what you're going to do, try to evaluate, what do I do as a hobby? What are some other things that I can do creatively? I can probably generate some income from it. I know a lot of people have started using Etsy as a
Mhm.
place where they can sell something that they make or a craft that they do. And some people have been really successful with it. So if you are one of those people, think about what you do for fun. What do you do creatively? How can you generate some income from it?
I think another thing is a lot of people who are creative and have hobbies. A lot of times because it comes so easy to them, they
Mhm.
don't think about possibly making money off of it. I know people who are artists who can draw, I mean, really well and no shapes and shading. But they're just like, yeah, it was just a hobby. I did it in college. But this is the era of sipping paints, portraits, classes, online content, videos. I
Mhm.
mean, people really love this stuff. And if an artist, you knew 20 people or 10 to 15 people, you can say, hey, I'm starting a sip and paint business. I just want to test it out. It's going to be a small fee, and I'll provide everything. And that's how things like that start. But some people just don't take things. They don't take their art, too serious. And the minute that they do decide to take it serious is the time when things start to change.
Yeah, that's so important. I know Skillshare is huge right now, and that's a platform where people can teach people certain things and they can have their own classes. So like you said, if you're an artist, you can go on Skillshare, get people to pay to be a part of your class, learn something, you make some money, you network with some people, and then possibly build your brand or build your business. So that's so important. And right now, with everybody being home, people are looking for things to do. They
They
want
are.
to be creative. They want to explore a new hobby. They want to learn a new skill. So now's the time to capitalize on that if you're, thinking about exploring your art further and possibly generating some income. So, Vershawn, how did you get interested in your profession?
When so when I was younger, I just my parents had a piano in the house, and I would just go bang on it. And I would literally just go and just bang, and I think they just decided to put me in lessons. My father is also a pastor, so I am one of the kids who decided to actually be the musician, and ended up playing in church, and developing a love for gospel and R&B and jazz. So I think definitely church was a big part, and just my parents putting me in lessons at such a young age.
Mhm.
It was just, it was just a really, really good hobby. They put it for a huge part in that.
Hmm. So, parents, if you're listening with your kids and you see your kids, possibly interested in something, it's, a good way for you to get them involved in an activity. I know some parents say, my kids are doing cartwheels all over the living room or jumping on furniture, so maybe gymnastics is something you want to get them involved in. Or, like Rashawn said, maybe you have an instrument in the house and they're drawn to it, or they're drawn to music. Maybe you want to get them involved in some music classes, but it's important to try to help your kids do extracurricular activities so that they can have different avenues to explore when they get older. You see, Vershawn turned a passion for music into income. He generated income from it. It's a part-time job for him. So that could happen also for your kids. It's never too early to get them involved in some type of activity.
I agree. I also think that parents input, and it may be more, they need to be more committed than the kids are as well, because kids can do whatever you say. They can wander here, but it's important for parents to really step up and really commit to doing those activities for their kids. So
That is.
they're a huge part, very huge.
Yes. And, kids look to their parents to help guide them and introduce them to new things. And so when kids are young, they're not afraid to try anything. They're willing to go after whatever activity you put them in, and you never know what that could lead to for them. It could be a career, it could be part-time work, it could help motivate them in other aspects of their academics. It allows them to, meet other kids, be a part of a team. So, yes, it's very important to get kids involved in activities. So, Rashawn, how much time did you invest into getting to where you are now?
Countless hours. I mean, hours, especially from middle school to high school. Those are probably the hours that matter the most. Not saying that the other time didn't, but that was just the transition of me being like a kid to a teenager, me kind of taking on a life of my own, and whatever skills that I had from younger, just seeing what actually is going to translate to me into my teenage years, will ultimately transition into my adult years. But I was really heavy into production as well, making beats and all of those things. And I would literally go to school, come home, and just hog the computer. We only had one computer at the time, and I would just hog the computer for hours, just trying to make beats, just looking, doing research, all
Mhm.
types of things. Even when I got to high school, you start coming across competition, other piano players, other people who may be better than you. And when you're young, and if, you'll still be hungry, and you'll want to be competitive, and those things kind of drive you to, try to show up to school and say, hey, I got these new chords that I want to show you, or check out, I know how to play this song, I can play that song, I can do it in this key. Kids love bragging rights, and in high school, to get those bragging rights, you have to really practice. And when you go to a music school and people really practice and take it serious, a lot of times, if you're like a slacker, they won't really, they won't really, hang out with you or treat you a specific kind of way. That was never really like an issue for me per se, but it's just the idea of, talent. People like being around good talent and people who put in the work and who don't slack, and
That's very important. That, if you're pursuing a talent or extracurricular activity, that you're dedicated to that activity, that you put in the time to practice, that you maybe talk with your teachers and try to get more support, because as you move further in this, and maybe you want to develop it into a career, you have to put in the time to be able to get good. You have to practice, you have to be dedicated and motivated. In this day and time, it's not just enough to be good at something. You have to be great at something. And to be great, you have to be motivated, and you have to be dedicated and be consistent with trying to perfect your craft. That's so important. So, Vershawn, what kind of obstacles did you face in the pursuit of your profession?
opportunities. There are a lot of opportunities that I didn't really want to do and I had to do, and then there
Mhm,
are opportunities that I just couldn't find.
mhm,
Um, and just trying to find ways to stand out from other keyboard players who may be better than you.
mhm,
There's little things that will, you have to find other ways to have people draw themselves to you besides your talent,
mhm,
right? So, for example, I have a car. There are musicians who don't have cars.
mhm,
So competitively, somebody will call me because I have a vehicle.
mhm,
Um, I also started playing the talk box. I don't know if you're familiar with the talk box, but the talk
mhm,
box is it's like Computer Love, Zapp and Roger. It's like the robotic sound.
mhm.
You hear it. Bruno Mars used it on 24 Karat Magic. It's a
Okay.
popular sound, but that was one thing that I did to kind of diversify myself from the local musicians that were in Baltimore at the time. Especially that's another thing. I'm from Philadelphia, so when I live in Baltimore, I'm kind of an outsider. So I'm still trying to find my way in and find my way to play with the local musicians, because sometimes musicians can be, they have a circle and it's kind of hard sometimes to get in there if they don't really know you. It may take some time. So those are some of the obstacles that I had to really face.
Mm, I know a lot of people who are musicians, struggle with trying to find work, such as what you've said. And yeah, transportation is a huge barrier if you have to get to a particular gig or a particular event. And so, yes, opportunities can, be difficult to come by. But like you said, you put yourself out there and you did something different. You tried to be different from everyone else. So that's a great tip. If you, with any career, you want to stand out. When you go to the interview, you want to stand out. When you get the job, you want to stand out. So, a tip would be whatever career field you're exploring, try to figure out how can I be better than the rest, or how can I stand out from the rest of the pack of people. And so that may mean if you're on a current job, if there's an opportunity for you to do something different, to be a part of a team or to be a part of a special project, that you say, yes, I want to be a part of that team, or I want to do that project. Or maybe you ask your supervisor, hey, is there something else I can do? Is there a particular project I could be a part of? I want to know what else I can do to be better, or what else I can do to strengthen our organization or the company we work for. Or, if you're a young person, maybe there's opportunities in school for you to be a part of different groups or different teams. And so you can ask your teacher, hey, I want to be a part of that. Or, hey, I want to explore this or that group. So always trying to figure out ways to stand out will be very beneficial to you, because when it's time to get that promotion or it's time to get that raise, you have done some things that others probably haven't done. So hopefully that'll put you a step above the rest.
Just to piggyback off that, one another obstacle of not finding opportunities was me kind of trying to be in the same genre and playing with the same type of people.
Mhm,
But there was a time where I kind of switched who I was playing with, and I joined like a jam band scene, which is totally not within the realm of what I do,
mhm,
which led me to play with artists who sing country music as well as rock tunes, and they have a lot of monthly and consistent gigs.
mhm,
And just because I decided not to get out of my original box and say, you know what, I'll give it a shot,
mhm,
because I curbed them for a while.
mhm,
I honestly did. I was just like, I'm not really, I don't know what you guys got going on, you
mhm,
know. But once I did, it opened me up to a whole nother world of music going on in the same city that I live in, but I've never seen it. I
mhm,
might know that it's happening, but I've never been a part of it. And once I did that, I played at festivals that I've never heard of and venues that I've never played at before. So
mhm.
just saying, you know what, I'm going to get out of the box and see what else is out there to offer, was definitely a game changer for me.
Yes, not being afraid to step out of your comfort zone is extremely important with
Yeah,
any career. I know sometimes it can be frightening, if there's a new challenge or a new initiative that maybe your job is going towards, and you're like, I don't know if I'm going to be good at this, or hey, I don't know if this is something I really want to do. But sometimes when you give it a try, like Vershawn said, you never know what you're opening yourself up to. More opportunities, more networking, more ways to get yourself out there, to get your name out there. So just don't say no, say
yeah.
yes. Um, the next question, Vershawn, is what advice do you have for someone wanting to do what you do as a musician?
Um, One of the things that I wish I would have done, um, I would have tried to take advantage of content now. Um, just putting consistent content out. I think it's very important, for especially for younger musicians, while you're putting it on YouTube and having visibility. That just plays a big part of visibility. I've been playing music for years, but it wasn't until the last few years that I started putting the videos and content of me actually playing music.
Mhm,
um, this it's possible that if I would have done it more, I may have had more exposure, or could have led to more things.
mhm,
So I definitely would suggest that find ways to be visible. Um, some other advice would be just practice, just work hard, and network. Most of music is, for the most part, word of mouth.
mhm,
Most of the opportunities I've got is because somebody told somebody else about me. It's not like you fill out applications to be a musician or apply online.
mhm,
It was more so somebody recommended me.
mhm,
So just always just try to, just do the right thing, network, talk to people, and just really just work hard, honestly.
mhm,
I also do suggest that, younger musicians, you know, not too young, maybe if you're like high school, don't be afraid to get a job,
mhm,
because you're going to need money for equipment. You're
mhm,
going to need some money to invest in yourself. And just don't be afraid to get a job. Um, people might talk down to getting a job, or they'll say, one of the things that I really would hate is they'll say, you should be doing music full time. You're so great at it. And it's just like, that sounds really good. But there's things that you need a job. You need to invest in yourself. You need to be able to, for example, look at COVID-19.
mhm,
If I was a full-time musician, I would have been in a horrible position,
mhm,
because I decided I just want to do this full time, even though it's under the table money. It's not that consistent. But one of the big things for me about having a job is healthcare,
mhm,
and most musicians don't even think about healthcare. I wasn't thinking about it. until I turned 26 and I couldn't use my parents' insurance anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And you start realizing like I can be a musician, but I need healthcare. Now there are options for you to pay, but it's easier to get a job and have some type of stability because music is such an up and down thing. You may catch a wave, but that wave will die down. And just be realistic with yourself, and just always put yourself in the best position. That's all I can say. Just make sure you put yourself in the best position that you can't really fail. Music may die down or it may be great, but you still need something there to sustain you, and life will be a lot sweeter and a lot easier.
Mm-hmm. You made some great points. The first one you made was about being a content creator. I think some people don't take advantage of the fact that we have so many social media platforms. It is very easy to film a video and get content out there and to get views because, as you said, someone will see you and then they'll tell someone else, and then that person will tell someone else. So networking through social media platforms, whether it be YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can get your content out there so easily now and get views and reach a wider audience than you would have been able to reach just a couple years ago. So I think that's awesome. If you are a content creator, you can use those platforms to be more visible and to get your name out there. Also, networking, that's extremely important. When you go places, have your business card ready to give out to let people know who you are, what type of services you offer, so that you can get that next job or so that someone can refer you to someone else. That is extremely important. We've talked about networking on literally every episode.
Mm.
Everybody has said that that's extremely important and has helped them get to where they are today. And then I also like the fact that you said, get a job. It doesn't matter what type of job it is,
Yeah,
but we all need income. We have bills to pay, and healthcare is extremely expensive to pay for if you don't have a job or if you're not getting it through your current employer. And I know right now with COVID-19 happening, people really need to make sure they have health care because you never know if and when you get sick, you're going to need to go to the doctor. And it's extremely expensive to pay those hospital bills if you don't have insurance. So it is very important to get a job. Yes, music or whatever creative outlet you're a part of can generate income, but if you're not generating that type of income all the time, it's important to have employment. And then there's other benefits to having a job. Dental insurance, vision
yeah,
insurance,
yeah,
steady income coming in. If you have kids, also they're going to need health insurance so they can be on your health insurance. So extremely important. May not be the job you want to have, but at least it generates some type of income.
yeah. Also, a lot of the people we look up to always preach multiple streams of income,
Mm-hmm.
and that's just an easy way. It's easy to just get a job in whatever
Yep.
you're passionate about. Also, just to say, if you do have a job, it's really a true test to how passionate you really are about what you're creating. Because some people will say, I have a job, but I just can't seem to make time for myself or
Mhm.
time for what I really want to do and time for my business. And this is it's just really that's the true test. If you can get a job and still do what you do creatively outside of work, is the test if you're really putting in the real effort, because it is doable. I'm living proof, you
Mhm.
know.
Yes, that is so true. Because when you really want to do something, you're going to work 10 times harder to be able to get it done. You're going to be motivated and dedicated and do what it takes. And then you also said that there's things you have to pay for as a musician, equipment. So having that income coming in will allow you to get that equipment to make, your music that much better, or to have the things you need to be able to make it that much better.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, Vershawn, where have you worked within the industry?
When you say where have I worked, what do you mean?
Like
Right.
what places have you, I know you talked about church and events that you've done. What else have you done as a musician?
So I've played with a lot of the local acts, a lot of local acts between Baltimore and DC and Northern Virginia. So I've had the opportunity to play on at Artscape on the main stage, which is the big festival out here at AFRAM, the African American Festival.
Mhm.
I've had opportunity to play at the DC Funk Parade. I played in the Go-Go Band for a short period of time. That was very, very interesting opportunity.
Mhm.
I've played with some semi-famous artists. I played with Monifa. She was popular back in the '90s.
Mhm.
I played with the group R&B group Next, which have like songs Butter Love, and I've had opportunities to play with them in North Carolina, Virginia, Connecticut. I've also played with a Muslim artist by the name of Khalil Ismail,
Mhm.
and we've traveled the East Coast, down south, and I've done a lot of different things with them.
Wow, that's
And then there's like production things where I've worked with some singers and songwriters, and they'll hire me for production, or I play talkbox on some of their records. So I've been pretty busy. Oh, also, when I was in college, I was also a solo pianist, so I would have opportunity to play solo piano at a lot of the private events at the university. They've had me play at the president's house of the university for like Christmas parties, and you
mhm.
know, music. Being a pianist is putting me in rooms and events that I probably couldn't even pay to get in a
Mhm.
lot of the times, and be around some of the high rollers in the area, between the mayors and you name it, all of the politicians and presidents of universities, all types of different things.
That's awesome. So, how did you get those more high profile events?
Well,
What did you
well
do?
you know, so one of the guys that I play with, he's a musician, but he will also be like a production manager, and the people who would throw these events would usually hire him.
Mhm.
But because he was locked in, he can just recommend the entertainment. So I'll be playing for the singer that they recommended, and we'll be in that event,
Mm.
and it'll kind of just work like that. But it's still the same thing. It's just somebody in my network.
Networking, yes. So again, networking can also open up other doors for other opportunities. So never be afraid to network with people. Let people know what you want to do. Sometimes people don't know that you want to be a part of a different event, or you want to do something different or in addition to what you're already doing. But if you talk to people, let them know, what you want to do, they could possibly refer you to a different opportunity. Or if you're working with someone and they see you're committed, you're on time, you're professional, you're dedicated to doing a good job, that can also get you promoted or recommended to a different opportunity. So keep that in mind, to always be professional in whatever you're doing. Put your all into it, no matter how
Hmm.
big or
Yeah.
small the task or the opportunity is, because you never know what it may lead you to in the future. Yes. So next question, Vershawn, is can you compare and contrast the different jobs you've had?
Yeah, yeah. So the first job I had, I was a project accountant for a architect firm in Fells Point in Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it was cool. It was a temporary position. I got it because an alum from Morgan State saw that I went to Morgan and just decided to give me an opportunity,
Mm,
which was pretty great. And that was only a short time. And then from there, I ended up going into property management, which was like a big turn. Which I was a concierge at
mm,
different properties between Silver Spring and Baltimore.
mm-hmm.
Um, just kind of weird, that didn't work out, and I ended up being another accountant in Bethesda for, I forgot the name of the company. duty free, like World Duty Free. They have like the duty free stores. That was
Mm-hmm.
another temporary job. Most of my jobs were all I was just a temporary employee
Mm-hmm.
for most of the time. And then I got fired from that job. And
Oh.
then after I got fired from there, that's when I did music full time, which was great. I got to play at Maryland Live Casino. I wanted to play there for a long time, so I had some pretty cool opportunities in that time span.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then it started to slow down around October. I was doing it for so long, I can kind of foresee what kind of month I would have based off of the opportunities in my calendar. And I
Mm-hmm.
said, I think it's time for me to get another job.
Mm-hmm.
So then that's when I applied to this job, and I started at this job as a 2 week temp. I was only supposed to be there for it was only a month, just to help during the seasonal time transition, because it gets a little busy.
Mm-hmm.
And then I ended up getting hired full time there as an accounts payable specialist. And I worked in that position for close to 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then the new opportunity within the company came in. We had subsidiaries. We have another company in Canada and the UK, and they were looking for international accountant, and I applied, and I ended up getting that position now.
Wow.
So technically, I'm an international accountant. I work for our Canada office,
Mm-hmm.
and that's kind of just a brief rundown of my work history. It was mostly temporary work,
Mm-hmm.
and that can be another testament. I didn't have a full-time job, permanent job, but I had to do what I had to do. If I had to switch careers and go into property management, that's what I did. If I had to go somewhere else and be a temp, mind you, it was in Bethesda, so I would drive from Baltimore to Bethesda every day. I mean, I would just, you just have to do what you have to do.
Mm-hmm.
Especially, it's important to really grind early in your 20s, because you don't want to do this grinding when you're hitting 30 and 40. You want to get that out, get that out the way, get your experience, and do all you can early on. And a lot of people say you should be having fun in your 20s. You could, but you can have fun in your 30s. You can still have fun and do things that you want to do, but it's important to really get life under your wings, and get things going for you.
Mm, that's so important. I've talked to a lot of people who are college graduates, and they say the same exact thing, that they had to take positions that they wouldn't necessarily want to take, whether it be temporary or part time, or in a position that they didn't originally go to school for, but they learned something from each and every position, and they built upon those skills as they went to the next position. And you're right, in your 20s, you want to have all the fun you want in the world because you're young, you don't have a whole lot of responsibilities. But it's also important to keep in mind that you're building yourself up for your career for the long haul. And so you have to start at that point, getting those jobs that you may not necessarily want, so that you can get to your career, so that you can build your workforce development skills, so that you're ready for that higher level position as you get older. So, if you're young, you're fresh out of college, it's okay to take a temporary position. It's okay to take a position that's outside of what you originally went to school for, because you never know what it might lead you to. So don't turn down any opportunities. Just see what it's like. Just take a chance. You never know what it could lead to. So I'm glad you mentioned that. And then you said you were fired from a position. What did you learn from being fired from that position?
I'm not sure which one. It was a couple of them, but
Mhm.
I learned. I was still doing music, so you
Mhm.
know, you may think that music or your side hustle is the side hustle, but at some point, it's going to be your main and only hustle.
Mhm.
And I just was able to realize, like, I'm glad that I didn't stop trying to be competitive with what I was really passionate about. Um, and just to know that, your passion and your side hustle goes hand in hand with your job or your main hustle. So you may think you may be locked in at a job, and you're not, but your music or your passion can still be carrying you through. And I just realized that multiple streams of income is that important, because
Mhm.
you don't know the day, you don't know the hour, you don't know when the storm is going to come, and you just need to be prepared. And the job is good, but um, the passion will be there, and those things are vice versa. When
Mhm.
gigs or your art isn't really there for you, that's when your job will step in. So that's why it's always good to just have a balance of working and making money that you may not be happy doing what you're doing, but you're doing what you have to do, versus you doing what you actually want to do.
Mhm. Yeah, they go hand in hand.
Yeah.
So, you could be currently working, viewers, right now, but, you know, Vershawn is right. Anything could happen. We've seen that with 2020, that anything could happen with jobs.
Yeah.
One day you can feel secure, and the next day you could not feel secure just because of what's going on in the world right now. Or your place of employment could have to pull out and close, and then you're out there with nothing if you don't have something else to fall back on. Maybe it's a part-time job, or maybe it's something you do creatively to make additional income. It is very important to try to have multiple streams of income, as Vershawn has said. So if you don't have multiple streams, now's the time to look into other things you can do to generate additional income, because you never know when you might need additional income. It's so important, or emergency funds. So that is extremely important. So, Rashawn, how has your career changed since COVID has happened? You gave us a little bit of insight, but what else can you tell us?
Well, gigs have been totally non-existent. It wasn't until recently that I did do some gigs, but they were wedding gigs,
Mm-hmm.
kind of outside, spaced out things. So that was pretty cool. One of the big changes is I haven't been playing in church
Mm-hmm.
um, like that. So that whole going to church thing, and going to church is pretty refreshing. And being able to play the organ, because everywhere doesn't have organ. I don't have one in my house.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of been a change. But also, this was supposed to be a pretty big year for me. I did put an album out this year,
Mm-hmm.
um, and I was really excited about that. It was my debut album. Also, I was supposed to perform at Artscape Festival DJing.
Mm-hmm.
So this would have been one of the first performances of me, just me as like a solo performer. But because of COVID, it just kind of messed the landscape of things up. But still happy and still blessed nonetheless. So there's always next year. You don't really beat yourself up about things you don't have control over. You just let it be what it's going to be, and
Mm-hmm.
just roll with the punches.
Mm. Wow. So when everything got canceled because of COVID, did they still pay you something, or is just
No, no, because
wow?
they, March is when it hit. The festival is in July, so they didn't even really announce everything
Mm-hmm.
yet, and you know, it just didn't happen. It just didn't
Wow.
happen. Yeah,
I'm just wondering how people are doing that. They do music full time, and then COVID happened, and they didn't have any gigs. What did they do? I'm hoping
yeah.
they had full time, but
Yeah, I see a lot of people do a lot of live streams. It's very popular. Once things started to die down, they'll go to a venue and charge online tickets.
mhm,
I know a guy out here who does street serenades, where he'll bring his keyboard and set up outside and
mhm,
put his cash up out there. And the live stream thing kind of really went crazy once COVID hit, because people were kind of scared to go out and scrambling and just trying to figure out what they were going to do next. But this is another thing. I had a job, so I wasn't really worried, because who knew that this storm was going to come for this year, but having a job and just being prepared for whenever that rainy day is going to come,
mhm.
um, was definitely made things a lot easier.
When you say people did live stream, is that a platform live stream or?
No, so they'll go live on Facebook.
Okay.
go live on Instagram, and one of the things they'll do is they're just in there they'll just put their Cash App name, and just try to get
Okay.
people to come and just give tips or deposits for them performing live, because they couldn't really perform anywhere at the
Mm.
time. It wasn't like the weather was the greatest yet. It wasn't super sunny and warm outside. It was still a little on the chilly side.
Mm-hmm.
So you see a lot of DJs doing live streams and musicians and people doing performances, and they try to tailor it and give people a few days, like, hey, Thursday 7 p.m. Make sure you tune into my live stream,
Mm-hmm.
and just try to make it do the online concert.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I haven't went to any online concerts except for the celebrities that do the verses on
Right. Yeah.
Instagram. So I
Hmm.
thought that was awesome. And I'm really surprised that they didn't charge anything for those, because I was expecting them to try to charge something for it, but
Yeah.
they had it out there for free. So that was awesome. But
Yeah.
yes, if you are a musician, that's another way for you to make income, is by doing live streams and charging or asking for tips. You'd be
Hmm.
surprised at how many people are willing to pay you to do your art or to see your art. So,
Yeah, and that was back to one of the first things we were saying about content. That's
mhm,
just live streaming is just another form of content.
mhm,
It's and it's easier. You don't have to really do too much curating or after or editing or anything like that. You can they can just kind of take it as it is.
mhm.
You know,
You can be home, you don't have to travel and
right?
all those things. And maybe you have additional equipment at home that you can use versus having
Yeah.
to pack it up and take it somewhere.
Yep. The overhead is definitely very low.
That's awesome. So I hope viewers, if you are an artist or content creator, that you will, keep that in mind, that you can do live streams to make some additional income. So Vershawn, how can young people who are still in school find volunteer opportunities to be in the music field?
Well, one way to volunteer, if they depending on your skill level, is to give lessons. Giving out free lessons to elders, people who want to learn your instrument.
Mhm,
Definitely giving free lessons is probably one of the best ways to give back. Because getting good as a musician or trying to get better at the craft is by practicing and learning. And if you're willing to give free lessons or free knowledge, that's one of the best ways to volunteer and give back. Or if you want to give back to, if you can, instruments, giving away instruments. People need instruments.
mhm.
Those are different ways to give back, but definitely, volunteering is giving lessons. Also, I don't know how it is now, but playing at like rest homes or places where the elderly are.
Mhm.
Those are great places to really go and volunteer. I've done that a few times, and they love it. They really feel good about it.
Mhm.
So those are some ways that they can really volunteer.
Yes, and lessons is a huge one, because I know I played the clarinet in high school and middle school, and my mom would send me to private lessons, and she had to pay about $50, sometimes more than that, per
Hmm.
hour during the lessons to do the lessons. So it's very expensive, and I'm pretty sure there are parents and families out there that would love to have their kid be, playing an instrument, but they can't afford to do the lessons. That would be an awesome way for a person that wanted to give back, could give back in that area. So yes, that's awesome. And then you also get to network, meet parents. Maybe
Hmm.
they can refer you to other people. You get to work with kids if that's something you're interested in. You're helping somebody get better at their craft, and you're also learning from them as you're teaching. So that's awesome. Love that idea. So, Vershawn, what are some key skills young people should think about acquiring that would apply to all career fields?
Some skills that, can you repeat that one more time?
So, some workforce skills that young people need that they can apply not only to just being a musician, but to all career fields.
punctuality.
Mm,
Punctuality, I mean, showing up is half the battle.
mm-hmm.
Showing up on time is even better, definitely punctuality is very, very, very important. We all have tendencies to, just be lazy, be late. But punctuality is super important. All of the jobs that I've had, punctuality is one of the big things. They don't care if you leave later or if you decide to leave a little early, but if you get there late, it just does not look good ever. Ever. It just never looks good. I definitely think punctuality is very important. Assertiveness and being attentive to detail, I mean, is just key. Just paying attention, which is very important, and just know what's going on, and just kind of just having high awareness to what's happening, and just always be in tune and focus. Those if you do those things, I think you should be fine. Punctuality, being focused, and paying attention to detail, and just really applying yourself, you should be fine.
Yes. So young people being on time to class is what you can do now, or being on time to different events or extracurricular activities is what you could do. And then adults, yes, being on time to work, being punctual, being focused, and just showing up is extremely important. Next question, Vershawn, is what resources or recommendations do you have for people who want to get into the field of music?
Um, when I was when I was coming up, YouTube and the internet was one of my biggest resources. I, I would try to learn songs, and believe me, there's somebody who already tried to learn this song
Mhm,
on whatever instrument that you're trying to play. And just to go in and just do research and practice. The internet was probably one of the biggest resources that I've had. I would be able to slow videos down,
mhm,
pause them, play them back. I mean, it's not like a regular piano lesson where you only have 30 minutes. You'll
mhm,
have to wait until next week to really talk to your teacher. But with the internet, there's a teacher there, but they're allowing you to slow it down. They're spelling things out for you. The internet is really a great resource
mhm,
for just being talented. As far as gigging and things like that, you just have to go out and you may have to play. You may have to go to a jam session or two and go talk to musicians. Um, it's important to have content up because they might not ever get a chance to hear you. But if you have content up on your Instagram or whatever your page is, they'll have a chance to look at your content and say, "Hey, are you available for this?" Or that. I get calls now for just gigs like, "Hey, somebody needs a keyboard player really quick," and they'll be like, "The gig's in 2 hours. Can you do it?" I
mhm,
don't know who the person is or what's happening, but it's just gaining the visibility and people knowing what you're capable of. Because a lot of times people will call you based off of if they trust you. So say I'll get a call from somebody who needs a keyboard player. They may call somebody who is trustworthy enough to refer you. And that's important as well. Just the visibility
mhm.
aspect. So
Yeah, visibility is so important. I know a lot of people who give out flyers, but it just has their social media platforms on it, and they're a musician and they're trying to get people to listen to a song or listen to an album that they have to promote themselves. And some people, that's how they start out. And then next thing you know, they become a big, huge celebrity.
yeah.
I know one time when I was at Howard, I went to the subway down the street from the university. We were having lunch, and the artist Life, I don't know if you remember him,
Mhm.
but he was just starting out. I didn't know who he was. The person that I was with for lunch didn't know who he was, but he had a van and it had an advertisement of who he was on the van, how you could listen to his music. He was giving out flyers. And then it must have been about a month later, he was this big, huge artist that was on TV. And I was like, oh my goodness, I met him before. And I didn't know who he was at the time, but he was slowly building his audience up. He was
Mm-hmm.
marketing himself just by going from place to place, giving out flyers, letting people know who he was and how they could listen to his music. And then next thing you know, he blew up into this big, huge artist. So the fact that I saw that come to fruition made me
Mm-hmm.
think about some of the artists out there now doing that. Some of them have come into the library a couple times and they've given
Wow.
out their flyers to people in the library. You never know what that could be for you if you are an artist, just letting people know who you are and putting your information out there as a content creator. So
Yeah, and another thing for students, kids who may be in high school or college, there's a huge pool of people there. Obviously, not during COVID, but when you're like on campus, it's thousands of people there. You meet somebody new every day. I think college and those places are the best places to try out what you're working on. If you have shirts or if you're selling paintings or doing anything, those people there are the easiest people to reach.
mhm,
They're not going anywhere. They're going to be there, and you'll see them for at least a good 3 to 4 months.
mhm.
So just kind of, I wish I would have taken more advantage when I was at school of the actual people there and testing out products and seeing what I could, maybe sell or anything.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
that's something that I would recommend.
That's so important because college students are always looking for the newest music or the newest outfit or the newest trend. And so
Hmm.
they are very heavily, if you're a content creator, you can pull them in easy because
Hmm.
that's what they're thinking about most of the time. What's my next outfit or what's the next biggest song? They're immersed in art. And then another thing is that a lot of events happen on college campuses
Yeah.
where they're looking for a DJ or they're looking for a musician to play and they're willing to pay. They have the funds to pay, but they may not know that you're looking to do that. So yes, that's a great place to start networking if you are an artist. Um, so hopefully people will take advantage of that. The next question is, do you enjoy what you do now?
Yes, I do. I enjoy it a whole lot. It's very satisfying. The response from people is pretty much, as far as music goes, is pretty much one of the best feelings. Especially even when you're playing in church and you play those songs that you see touch people. There's no feeling like that in the world. Even when I put this album out, people love it. People love to dance to it. It's just the idea of putting content out for people to receive and to
Mhm.
have them receive it well is satisfying.
Awesome. And then the last question is for me. What are some resources that the library offers people who are new to the job market, are changing careers, or are maybe looking for new work due to the COVID-19 emergency? And you can go to our website 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at pgcmls.info, and you can visit our online library. From there, you can go to the jobs and careers section and you will see BrainFuse and the Learning Express library. You can do career assessments there. You can update your resume. Maybe you want to write a cover letter to give you that extra edge to try to get an interview. There's also a job coach there willing to review your resume and give you some tips. Maybe you want to do interviewing. There's an interview simulation activity that you can do there to practice your interviewing. So there's also so much more there to explore. So you can visit our website at any time. You have to have your library card. So hopefully you will have that information readily available, or you can call us and we can provide you with that information. If you are a PG County student enrolled in a PG County school, your student ID number is your library card. So you can use that number to access our online resources. Vershawn, enjoyed you today.
Thank
Love
you for
hearing
having me.
about your career. Yes, you're welcome. I hope that you continue to be successful in all that you do from here on out as a musician and as an accountant. And thank you again for joining us.
Thank you. I also do want to say, for any kids or anybody who's watching this, you can feel free to reach out to me about anything music related, career related, college related, high school related, any type of advice. If you think that I may be able to help, you can reach out to me. on Instagram, all social media at Mr. Vershawn, MRVERSHAWN, and just feel free to reach out to me.
Thank you, Mr. Vershawn, for that. And hopefully our viewers will take advantage of that opportunity. Again, I'm Shannon Crooks, Librarian 3 with the Hillcrest Heights branch of the Prince George's County Memorial Library System. Thank you for joining us today, and join us again next Wednesday at 3 p.m. as we explore a new and exciting career. Stay safe and enjoy your day. Thank you. Bye-bye.